What's up, guys? Season 4, Episode 3. I've had a few people reach out to me and ask me why I haven't done the podcast in a while. Well, life grabbed me by the nutsack and said, Time? No, you don't get to have that. So, that is part of the reason why I haven't created any more episodes. But here I am, here to give you more content. We're about 7 weeks into the NFL season. There's some shocking games that have happened throughout the weeks, and as time has went on, the Braves have advanced to the World Series, and so have the Astros. I can tell you right now, 90% of America is rooting for the Braves to win the World Series just because of the Astros history. I do have a few friends that are Astros fans, and they're super excited and all that. Super bummed out that my Giants didn't pull through and make it. Offense kind of took a fucking slump in the postseason, and but they picked up and lasted through the full NLDS and just took it all the way to Game 5 against probably the second best team in the league, and then they didn't even beat the Braves in the NLCS, and it shit just didn't work out for the Giants this year. They did have a franchise record of wins, which is quite amazing that a team at that caliber didn't make it all the way. But you know what? Things happen. Sometimes things don't pan out. And I would say it wasn't so much pitching for them. It was really just the offense wasn't firing on all cylinders when it really needed to. But with that being said, the clear NFC favorites in the NFL right now are the Bucks and the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals are now 7-0 after beating Houston just this past weekend. And the NFC West is looking like it's a two-headed dragon right now between the Rams and the Cardinals. It is still early. Still very early in the season. We're almost at the halfway point. Not quite there yet. Seahawks just lost again, so they're dead last. Niners lost again. They're second to last. They're both looking very, very bad this year. They're not looking too good, but there's signs of hope that they can turn things around. But really, both teams are just destroyed by injuries. Seahawks are still without Wilson. San Fran got their quarterback back, and Jimmy just didn't play all that great. They played in crappy weather. Run game wasn't that bad. Got Hasty and Mitchell back. They're running pretty good. Talking about the Niners because I'm a Niner fan, obviously, but it's just they're not clicking very well. Neither team is. They're both neck and neck for last place, which is working out in the Niners' favor. So less teams they have to worry about. But if they want to stay out of last, they got to win the next one, and they got to hope that Seattle keeps losing their games, which that's not realistic. They're probably going to win here. A few more down the road. They're not a bad team. Neither are the Niners, neither are the Rams, neither are the Cardinals. All of those teams together, they are pretty solid. They have solid lineups from top to bottom. It's just two of the teams at the bottom right now that are at the bottom due to injuries. People have to remember that these teams are super talented and that they can do well, but it seems the Niners are running into an issue with coaching as well, more than just the injuries, because right now they're getting players back. I mean, they're still missing out on key players like Trent Williams and George Kittle. But the issue is like, just this past game that I watched on Sunday night against the Colts, the play calling, just from watching several Niner games already, the play calling was by far the worst play calling offensively by the 49ers I've ever seen. And then the cornerbacks getting defensive pass interference like on almost every offensive drive the Colts had. And they figured that out, and they just started throwing it deep because they knew the corner was going to somehow manage either hold or do pass interference. And, like, not only that bit them in the ass a little bit, but let's add to the fact that we were passing the ball in pouring rain way too much. We had opportunities to just run the ball, and it clearly wasn't like these counter runs up the middle is what was working the best. They were faking one way and going the other, and it was totally just had the Colts on their heels first drive. We scored immediately within the first few minutes of the game, and Niners were firing off, looking like they were going to come off this bye week looking real solid, looking like a threat, and then he just went away from that after the first drive. Why not stick with what was working? Even the Colts linebacker, Leonard, came out and said, he's like, if the Niners would have kept doing those counter runs against us, he's like, we probably wouldn't have adjusted until the second half because we weren't game planning for that. And so with that being said, you got to stick with what's working and adjust when the time comes. And they, for whatever reason, went away from that, did a lot more just shotgun passes, just straight dropbacks, no play action, no nothing. But every time we did bootlegs, play action passes, counter runs, the offense was doing crazy things. Like, obviously we had some offensive mistakes, dropping the ball on the snap, Debo fumbling, yada yada, normal things. Like, some things you couldn't control, some things you could. But play calling was a huge factor in that loss. Was like, I would say half the reason was play calling, other half of the reason we didn't get a whole lot of good production out of Jimmy Garoppolo. Run game was solid, over 100 yards rushing out of Mitchell. That wasn't an issue. Debo still had a hell of a game, even with his fumble, a couple drop passes here and there. But like, it was raining. Obviously, the pass game wasn't going to be there. Didn't have Kittle. Didn't have our left tackle. Run blocking's never been an issue for the Niners. They always fire off on the run game, especially when they have their running backs that can produce for the run game. So we're not jumping through hoops trying to figure out who's going to run the ball for us, because before that, we were handing it off to Debo. Ayuk was running it, all this crazy play calling. But I feel like we were making some play calls that just didn't make sense. We kept faking the pass in pouring rain. There were so many times we kept faking a pass or doing like a delay handoff or just stupid play calls, like just running screens in the rain. We're doing screen passes in the rain. It just looked like we looked lost at one point, and by the third quarter was just awful. Fourth quarter picked it up a little too late though. It was clear as day. We picked up at the wrong time. It was too late. We didn't have enough time on the clock to make up for all the deficit that we lost 30-18. Now, the Tennessee Titans looked like they flipped the script on everybody. They went out, beat who'd they beat? Beat the Chiefs, and the week before that, they beat the Bills. That's who it was. The two AFC favorites. Now the Chiefs look lost in the sauce. Seahawks look lost. Niners look lost. Chiefs look lost. Like, all these favorites that looked like they were going to be playoff contenders are now looking like they might not even be playoff contenders this year. Chiefs, Mahomes is still getting beat up. Their defense, obviously, I called it in the very beginning before the season even kicked off this year. The Chiefs needed to improve their defense. What did they do? They only improved their O-line. Yes, the O-line was like number one. Number two, improve your defense. Draft some rookies for defensive line. Their pass rush is terrible. Their secondary is not all that. They're almost in last in every category of defense. And for whatever reason, they didn't want to fix that, and they just kept chugging along and not wanting to do anything with their defense. And now look at them, 3-4, barely scraping by. 3-4, 3-4. I had to think about that for a second. And I think right now the Raiders are on top in the AFC West. Raiders look solid. John Gruden got fired. Well, not fired, but he resigned, as in he kind of had the cancel culture kind of caught up to John Gruden, ran his mouth too much. They dug into the past. Clearly, he pissed off somebody he shouldn't have pissed off because they dug up his past, found a bunch of emails of him being racist and all types of other nasty things that he said in emails. I don't know the details. I just know I read a few of the things that were said. He said some racial comments about people from the past. They dug it up. I think they said from like 2011 all the way up to 2018. They found solid evidence of him saying unprofessional things that should not be said in a professional environment. I think he thought he was invincible. He's had incidences in the past where like people don't necessarily agree with what he's saying or the way he's saying certain things. It's a different world. It's 2021. You have to be careful on what you say. Media catches phase of it, and they're gonna blow it up. And I think modern media kind of just was eventually gonna crush people like him. I imagine there's more people as time goes on that's gonna come out and that are involved in this email slash text slash phone calls. Everything's recorded now. Like, media is really changing. They can get a hold of a lot of things and like flip the script on a lot of people that you would never think are very nasty, rude people. And yeah, people just have to be more cognizant of what they say now, because the media can get a hold of just about anything. Like, nothing is a secret anymore. Like, emails, phone calls, texts, none of that. Like, someone somehow will find a way to get that record. And like, it's not worth being that type of person. I don't know why he was being that way, but you know, in any job, you are guaranteed if someone has that kind of evidence on you, you will lose your job, or you will be not necessarily lose your job, but you'll probably be asked to leave, even though they probably won't fire you. You're just going to catch the backlash of the people you work with. Like John Gruden's situation, like players didn't want to play for him, all this craziness. And like, they were like, yeah, go ahead, investigate him. Like, let's figure out, like, yeah, he's an asshole, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. He's always been known as an asshole, so it's like, it wasn't going to go his way. And, you know, it just sucks to be that guy in that situation. NBA season has kicked off. Deciding to move on from that topic, beating the dead horse with it now. Warriors looking really good even without Klay Thompson. Warriors fan, they look solid. They look a lot better than I think people thought. It is very early. Lakers off to a shaky start. And then the hot topic of the NBA is the Chicago Bulls. Alex Caruso going to the Bulls during the offseason. Lonzo Ball's there. DeRozan, like, that team looks young and talented, and they are. They are firing off. Ever since they got Caruso on their offense, and they're firing off, scoring crazy plays, doing great things. Chicago might be, for the first time in a long time, they might be a Eastern Conference contender. They're at the top of the Eastern Conference at the moment. And then, like, LaMelo Ball and the Hornets are looking real solid as well. Teams that haven't been in it for years. Like, my whole life, they haven't been in it since, like, the Jordan era, and now they're coming back. And, you know, history repeats itself. So, I mean, as time went on, it's like 20-plus years. It was eventually going to come full circle. So, with that being said, there might be some new faces in the NBA playoffs, which is perfectly fine. Obviously, they still got to get through the Bucks and the Nets and teams like that, and the Warriors still got to get through the Lakers. The Lakers are definitely going to be a team to beat. They're just a stacked lineup. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, the Lakers are going to be the team to beat. And then once the Warriors get Klay Thompson back, I'm pretty sure they're getting Klay Thompson back at some point towards the middle of the season. I think they're just taking it slow. He could probably come back now. Probably wouldn't produce as well. He's not fully rehabbed yet from his injury. His injury is pretty freaking intense. He had another intense season-ending injury last year. Freak accident. Stuff happens, but, like, obviously, like, you know, players like him, they've been in the league for a while, so, like, stuff like that can happen, you know, just due to age. And, like, for basketball, yes, he's old. For anything else, no, not that old. But, you know, he's been in for a while. He's taken on multiple championships, played long seasons for years on end. And, like, you know, sometimes stuff like that catches up to you and your body starts to give out. And, you know, it's all about preparation. You always got to keep your body prepared. And, like, sometimes even when you do, it doesn't work out in your favor. With that being said, the Warriors are going to be a team to beat, I think, in the Western Conference again. They're going to be a big household name again. They already were. Everyone knew they weren't really a thing because of injuries, and they lost certain players. Like Andre Iguodala came back to the Warriors after being with the Heat for a little bit. Now he's back with the Warriors, probably for like this season, and that might be their last little run at it because Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph, you're not going to be able to keep all three of them for much longer, I don't think. More of the reason for their careers are coming to an end. I think Curry's going to play a lot longer than the other two, but we'll have to see. Things change as time goes on. Curry has taken on a lot of injuries that he's played through. Obviously, he is the face of the Warriors. And I think once the Warriors lose Steph, they're going to be rebranded. There's only one Steph. There's not too many players like him. So hopefully the Warriors do something this year, because I think this might be one of their last years for a little bit unless they come up with a farm system that comes up and does incredible things. Rumors are they are saying that the Dodgers are going to lose so many players this offseason. They're not going to be able to retain their $300 million payroll because they're going to get signed by somebody else in free agency, which that is typical in the sports world. You're not going to be able to retain literally everyone that you have. Dodgers are going to start they're coming close to a rebuild possibly. We'll have to see. My prediction for the World Series, I really, really hope the Braves take it. I want to say Braves in 6 just because high power offenses. I want it to go 7, and I think it will go 7. But if the Braves are playing like they did against the Dodgers, they definitely can take it in 6. Because I feel like the Dodgers had a better team overall. It's just the Braves, even without Ronald Acuna Jr., people have to remember they're even without Acuna, and they made it all the way. So imagine what the Braves would look like with their high offense producing player that is out because he tore his ACL, I believe. So I really think the Braves have the edge. Their pitching staff is stacked. Their record didn't really show for the regular season. I think they were dealing with people going in and out during the season, stuff like that. So with that being said, Braves win the World Series, and that's pretty much all I have to talk about with you guys for this episode. Hopefully I can get one out soon. I am going to be flying out to California for a few days, so I won't be back for about a week. Other than that, I hope I can get an episode out before I have to go back to work. I'm on vacation right now. I'm like a week into vacation. Hopefully I can get another episode out before I have to go back to work again and probably lose all my free time. So thank you for listening. You guys know what to do. Subscribe, like, comment, share. It'll be on YouTube, Spotify, all those platforms. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more episodes.